I want to ask you if you're familiar with Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution.
I don't memorize everything,
Okay,
so read.
that's fine. I'm not asking you if you believe in independence right now or should we leave. What I'm asking you is whose decision is it? Is it we the people or is it the legislature?
You've asked me a question I've not been asked. You've asked me a question I've not researched, and so I will follow back. And
you have to research it?
Yeah,
I just read the Texas Constitution.
Ma'am, I understand, but there will be a legal opinion on that, and I don't know what that legal opinion is, and I would want to go to the Attorney General and find out what that really says and really means and what the intent is. Reading me something for the first time that I have not looked at, and you're asking me a question, and I'm happy to give you an answer and follow up and give you the answer.
Governor Abbott, with my support and every other Republican support in the state, said we're there to help you. Texas did not take a back step.
Texas backed down earlier tonight and reopened the crossings.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It is time for our weekly community cup of coffee and a little bit of talk. Hey, look at that. The Texit Now mug. I got mine in finally. Pretty happy about that. Anyway, for those of you just now joining us, I am Daniel Miller, and this is Late Night Coffee Talk. This is the one time a week where I go absolutely 100% live across 10 or 11 different live streaming services to just sort of unpack what's been going on in the last week, share a cup of coffee, answer your questions that you put in the chat and the comments. And generally it's about an hour, although I can say that I guess the last couple have gone over a bit. So it's, hour-ish. I think we all sort of live in the ish principle. All right. Well, look, before we get started, I hope you got your cup of coffee ready to go. Let me get a little housekeeping out of the way, and then we'll get started. I'm going to dedicate a bulk of tonight to answering the questions in the comments in the chat. Do not expect long diatribes from me tonight unless I feel compelled, because as always, I've got a lot to get off my chest. But, wow, the border much, right? Or, the fact that our governor and lieutenant governor go groveling to the White House for permission to protect our own citizens, much like what happened during the near electrical grid collapse during the freeze at the beginning of the year. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Time to get down to business. Let's remind everyone, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll know anytime we post a new video or go live. And I might add, I sure would appreciate if you guys would go over and subscribe to my personal YouTube channel. It's Daniel Miller TX. That's the channel. Just search for Daniel Miller TX or go to youtube.com/Daniel Miller TX and subscribe. It's been lingering around for a very long time, and we're knocking the dust off of it. Get a bunch of archives uploaded, and sure could use your help and support over there. Also, if you're watching on the TNM's YouTube channel, do not forget that Super Chat is live. So if you'd like to throw a little change in the jar to help us get on down the road and continue to push this message of Texas independence out to the masses, any contribution is welcome. And again, if you're joining us on Facebook, please do like this video wherever you are watching it, because I know we're on multiple places on Facebook. But please like the video. Please share a comment with us, or just leave a comment for us and share it. Let's build the listener base. I know it's an inconvenient time for a lot of people, but this is the time that I have. And when you share it, people do watch it on the replay. So make sure you do that. And of course, Twitter people, do your Twitter things. Oh man, Twitter, you are a mixed bag. That's all I can say. But anyway, all the rest of them, wherever you're watching, do the things that you do on social media and help spread the word. And look, if you're not on YouTube, not on Super Chat, but you still want to make a contribution, head over to tnm.me/donate. That's tnm.me/donate. Or while you're over there, become a member. Join the organization. The more the merrier, right? Many hands make light work. I mean, give me 1,000 cliche phrases to say, get your butt in the game, right? Put a jersey on, get in the game. I'm gonna make Beverly Alford very happy. Sam Houston didn't win San Jacinto with a bunch of cheerleaders, right? Well wishers are welcome, but those that that shirt up, show up, speak up, those are the real heroes. So make sure you do that. Okay, let's get down to it. A reminder, I will be taking questions from the chat. And for those of you just now, this is maybe your first time. All of these platforms that we are on right now, all of that chat aggregates in one feed that happens to be right over here that I will be looking at periodically. And probably sometime very soon, I'll just start going through and responding to your comments and answering questions, because after all, this is a conversation, right? And your opportunity to ask me all kind of, things, hopefully, that I have not been asked a million times before. Social Security. But I will take some of those well-worn questions about Texit that are very plainly answered on the website and in this 4-time best-selling Amazon book, Texit. It's in here. I'm not saying buy it on Amazon. If you want to go do that, Bezos, maybe he needs some more rocket fuel for his inconveniently shaped rocket. Or, you could buy it through the TNM site and, help fund the effort. I don't make money when books are sold on the TNM website, right? Those are all copies that I purchase as an author that I give to the TNM. The TNM makes all the money off of them. Or the TNM orders direct at my price from the publisher, and uses the spread to help make sure that we have things like cameras and websites and outreach and billboards and radio ads and all that other stuff. So it's just what we do. All right. So yeah, all that chat aggregates over here. So, I will look at it periodically, but understand there is a lot. I can see it over here right now, scrolling like a slot machine. So this is going to be interesting. I don't know that I'm going to have a lot of time to kind of decompress on my personal stuff. You guys know that I've got a very big decision on the horizon. And I will say tonight that I have made a decision. And this is after a whole lot of discussion, a lot of thought, a lot of prayer. I will not be announcing that decision tonight, but I will tell you right now that you're going to need to save the date. Okay. So October the 2nd, tentatively, I will, you'll get further details, trust me, but October 2nd, I'm going to let you know what's going to happen next. And I think some people will be happy. I think some people may not be happy. But I'll leave it at that. It's a tease. Save the date, October 2nd. It's the anniversary of the day that the Come and Take It flag was hoisted. And I have to say that when the Texians of that era raised that flag that said "Come and Take It," it was an act of defiance, not an act of acquiescence like some of our elected leaders right now. And I say elected leaders, they're not elected leaders, they're elected employees, and they do a really horrible job. And, "Come and Take It" has become sort of a laughing stock, simply because of their weak will. I made a joke the other day that I'm not sure when it comes to the feds who folds faster, Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, or Superman on Laundry Day. It is a conundrum. I think it's a race between them to see which will fold faster. But if you joined me early on, you saw that video I played. Look, I'm going to play it again. You want to talk about probably one of the things that I find just absolutely heinous. Okay, so you're all well aware of the crisis that's going on the border right now. And, the focus has been on Del Rio, but let's be honest, the entire border is a shambles, right? I mean, it is something that we have talked about for years and years and years, about federal mismanagement of the border, how the people that live on the border, plus not just those people, but really the rest of Texas, suffers because of the federal government, claiming that they have sole jurisdiction over taking care of the border. And they fail to do it, right? They either do a terrible job at it, or they just intentionally fail to do it. And then the problem is equally compounded by the fact that we have elected politicians, the political class in Austin, Texas, that do not have a backbone to do anything about it. And so we have this crisis down there right now, all along the border, that's costing lives. And don't make me. You know what? I'm probably going to bring Dan Goldvach on here, so you guys can hear his story the way that I heard it. But Dan Goldvach lost his son to a multiple time deported illegal immigrant who casually pulled up next to him at a red light and shot him in the head for no reason, right? So the border is porous, and of course now everyone's talking about Del Rio, and we can ha at the fact that the neo-Marxists are losing their minds over a picture of a Border Patrol agent on a horse holding the reins, with those guys claiming that they're whipping this Haitian illegal immigrant. And it's just, we can laugh about that, about their stupidity. As I said on Twitter today, the people that are complaining about that probably ride a stick horse side saddle, right? That's the kind of people that they are. They're just idiots. Or they're just intentionally trying to mislead people by pouring fuel on a false narrative. But that being said, Many of you know that I was back in my old hometown over the weekend, and one of the events that we went to Friday night, we got back to the hotel. It was either Thursday night or Friday night. Got back to the hotel, happened to turn on the TV, and there was Dan Patrick on Laura Ingram's show talking about the border, and the interview made me so angry. I mean, I was furious because he got up there and said, well, Governor Abbott, with my full support and support of every Republican, did these things, and the thing he listed didn't really do anything, right? It allegedly they were going to shut down these other legal border crossings so that the Border Patrol could reposition assets down to Del Rio. And then, well, we said we were going to do it. And then we were told no by the Biden administration, so we didn't close them down after all. And it's like, really? And so the next thing you hear is you hear Governor Abbott going, and he's groveling at the White House for disaster assistance money because of the border. And it's like, when? I mean, at what point do people understand that these guys are full of crap? That this is just a bunch of kabuki theater, right? And I know Patrick has probably got some people on here tonight listening to me, and I know there's some media on here. I just simply don't care, right? But it's all smoke and mirrors, right? It's kind of like when Dan Patrick has spent the last 12 years promising property tax relief, but every 2 years Texans see an increase in their property tax bills, right? To the point people are being taxed out of their homes. And he comes back again. He goes, hey, we're going to add property tax relief to the special session. It's a priority item. What happened in the last 12 years when people are being taxed out of their homes, right? This border issue is the same kind of thing with these guys. And too many people fall for this garbage, right? So Dan Patrick gets on TV and he's talking about, well, we did it, but the Biden administration stopped us. It's like, that's not how this works, right? When the federal government fails to do what's in the contract, AKA the U.S. Constitution, which is to protect every state from invasion, then whose responsibility is it, right? So they're scapegoating the federal government on this particular issue, rightfully so, right? But what they're failing to mention is that they could take concrete action. And this has been the issue with the border all along, right? It's not like this border issue just cropped up today. It's not like the border just suddenly became a problem because a bunch of Haitians showed up in Del Rio. This has been a problem for years and years and years and years. And these guys have had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to do something about it. And they have failed to do so, right? And I don't know what their motivations are. I could speculate on their motivations, but that would just be speculation. But at the end of the day, who cares what their motivations are? Because the actions are speaking for them. And to them, the life, liberty, and property of Texans takes a back seat to their ridiculous public displays of butt kissing and genuflecting to the federal government. They would rather be seen as loyal to Washington, D.C. and the federal system than protect Texans. And that's not just Abbott. That's not just Patrick. That goes for that pack of brown nosers in the House of Reprehensibles and many of them in the Senate. I'm going to play the video in case you guys didn't see it, because I'm sitting in my hotel room in Longview, Texas, when I see this on TV, and it made my blood boil.
Governor Abbott, with my support and every other Republican support in the state, said we're there to help you. Texas did not take a back step.
Texas backed down earlier tonight and reopened the crossings.
I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Even after she said Texas backed down, I mean, she literally introed the guy that way, that Texas backed down. And then he gets on there and goes, yeah, okay, well, we did this, but the federal government said no, 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 and wagged their finger at us. And so we tucked our tails and went back to the house. And, and we can talk about the things that were done since, but let's not kid ourselves, okay? The only reason that Abbott and Patrick can even find the border is because they are worried about getting reelected. That literally is it. That is the only reason that they can even find the border. Abbott and these guys, they talk wonderfully about, spend all this beautiful language about how they've done all these things for the border. But is a half measure any better than no measure at all? Right? Is the illusion of a solution an actual solution? Because if it is, then those guys have done a stellar job. If you want to fake it till you make it, then those are your poster boys. Same thing with the rest of the legislative session, on a whole host of issues. Look, let us not kid ourselves. If these guys in the state house were not in serious trouble like they are, and, I would like to say that I believe that we've played one heck of a part in giving these guys intestinal difficulties, right? A little gastrointestinal upset, perhaps to the point that they've got to go around wearing astronaut diapers. I mean, we are seeing a record number of these guys drop off, right? I mean, they're dropping like flies over there saying they're not going to run for re-election. But let's be honest, if they were not in serious trouble, do you think they would be doing anything? Our executive director, Nate Smith, hit me with this piece of information last night. There is only one committee that State Senator Donna Campbell has chaired, and it was Veterans and Military, and then they changed it to make it a committee that dealt with not just with veterans and military, but also with border security. The only committee she's ever chaired. They created a committee in the Senate specifically to address border security. And they didn't do it in this session, right? So they created a committee so they could say that they were working on it. But is the border secure? And the answer is no. They say it time and time and time again how they're going to fix these things and how they really care about all the suffering that is taking place down there and the property destruction and the victims of crime and the human trafficking and everything that comes along with it. But yet they don't do anything decisive, especially when it will go against the grain of the federal government. And so these guys they're in a position right now and have been in this position for a long time where they are consciously choosing the federal system over you. Loyalty to a system that steals from Texans, that breaks everything that it touches, right? That oppresses us with 180,000 pages of federal laws, rules, and regulations, that creates this massive nuisance in our lives with 2.5 million unelected bureaucrats, where there's 49 other states and a large number of those treat us like we are bumpkins and dirt and we're nothing but a piggy bank, right? They would rather kiss that butt than do their constitutionally mandated duty to the citizens of Texas. And folks, I'm telling you right now, that's all about to change. The people are not going to put up with it anymore. For too long they've been able to do this ridiculous dog and pony show, this bait and switch, this sort of placate people with some rhetoric. But I'm telling you, the people have had enough. They've had enough. They're over it. They're not listening to your crap anymore. They're not listening to your empty rhetoric anymore. What they want is they want the ability to govern themselves. They want their borders secure. They want their constitutional rights, their God-given rights that are enumerated. Because they want those protected and upheld, and they don't want little tyrants, Vichy puppets sitting in Austin doing the bidding of their masters in Washington, D.C. Texans want representatives that represent them. And much as we said about all of these electeds in the state house that would not listen to their constituents on HB 1359, the Texas Independence Referendum Act, the message is clear. If you will not represent us, then you cannot represent us. And there is a reckoning coming at the polling at the polls, in the election box, in the ballot box. It's coming. It's coming. And your little last minute little tactics that I think are, totally hilarious, right? I had kids. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have a kid that won't do his homework, has, low grades through the first 3 or 4 weeks of the 6 weeks, and then scrambles to try to get in all the extra credit and turn in late home. I mean, I know what that looks like. You guys are acting like a bunch of irresponsible school kids that can't get your crap together and do what you're supposed to do. We've seen it, and we're not buying it. And come spring of 2022, the fun part is going to be we're not going to accept the excuse that your report card must have got lost in the mail. Oh, your teacher didn't hand out progress reports. We're not going to put up with it. All right, folks, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me do this. Let's get over here and how about we answer some questions? You guys want me to go to chat? Let's go to the chat. And let me also do this because this is going to be one of those nights. I can already tell. It's going to be one of those nights where everybody in the TNM and the national leadership team knows I am here with you tonight. And they're going to blow up our internal messaging system. And I would turn it off, but I'm conscientious. I just, I work. That's the way it works. All right, let's get over here to the chat. Let's see what we got. We're going to have to get a moderator in here at some point. Wow. Yowzers. Man, you guys are already tearing it up. Okay, so hello to all of you. Everyone saying hello at the very beginning. I would call you out by name, but there's a bunch. So let's get down to it. By the way, for those of you just joining us, there is, if you enter the chat in YouTube or comments, they all aggregate over here. I am taking questions, and your comments are going to help drive the conversation tonight. Lots of people, people definitely furious about the characterization of the Border Patrol on horseback with the horse reins and everything else. I mean, look, everybody should be lucky that wasn't a cavalry charge, right? They were doing their best to keep people from running away. And let's look, even when they got them rounded up and sent them away, they tried to hijack a bus. Well, they did hijack a bus and escape. They tried to hijack a plane that was taking them back to Haiti, right? So, not a good situation. All right, our first super chat from Viva. Thank you very much. And we got another quote. I love every time you send a super chat every week, you send a great quote. Here's this one from Calvin Coolidge. It says, "If we are too weak to take charge of our own morality, we shall not be strong enough to take charge of our own liberty." Self-government is the first, right? Okay, good evening. And again, thank you for that super chat. Okay, Yoda wants to know, would a new Texan currency be backed by the US dollar, or would it be backed by gold or some other standard that's not being inflated beyond belief? Okay, good. We got a Texas question right out of the gate, so let me tackle that one. I get the currency question quite a bit. I even admitted in the book that I am not a strong monetary policy guy. I understand it, but monetary policy is not one of my strong suits. So what I do is for monetary policy, kind of like most things post Texit, it's best to look at it in a spectrum of possibilities, right? What can we do that we cannot do now? Okay, so first and foremost, it's important to understand that we do not have to have our own currency, day one, right? We can take some time in developing that currency. That being said, some people say, well, you can't use the US dollar after you tax it. Well, technically we could. It's just not the most ideal scenario. And I think we all understand why, because of the problems that the U.S. dollar is experiencing and what it will experience. The fact that they can't find the off switch on the printing press. I mean, there's just a lot of reasons why long term, an independent country would not and should not use the U.S. dollar. And there are some aspects of it that flow toward independence, specifically the economic independence aspect of it. You are going to want to have control over your own monetary policy. That being said, I have heard and seen several different proposals for a currency for an independent Texas, where there was the gold peg, the gold standard, the silver standard. There's a basket of precious metals, a basket of Texas resources, a bourse is what they call it. So I've seen lots of different proposals. I'm not sold on any of them. I believe they all have pros and cons. But I think it's also important to understand that when Texas passed the Texas Gold Depository Act, right, the big headline was Texas is getting a Fort Knox. But the real headline should have been the clause inside that piece of legislation that instructed the comptroller to create a system of electronic transfer based on deposits of precious metals in the depository. So a system of electronic exchange, which is effectively what they described is an electronic precious metal backed currency backed by that precious metal in the depository. So we already sort of have a proto currency if that's the direction that we want to go. But obviously that pretty much sums everything up. But it's a lot more to get into than we can get into tonight. But hopefully that answered your question. Okay. Scrolling down. Shirley Race says we need to be on Getter. We are. Go over there and look for Texas Nationalist Movement, and you will find us. We try to go establish a beachhead or a foothold. Anytime one of these new networks spins up, we are all over the place. Hello, Grayson County conservatives. So glad you could join us tonight. Thank you. Very glad you guys could make it. Okay. Okay, Cynthia says, okay, so this is a petition question. For those of you who are not aware, we are currently, the TNM is currently in the midst of a petition drive to gather enough signatures to place the Texit question on the ballot, on the primary ballot in the spring. And if you want more information on that, let me throw that on the screen for you. Boom, there it is. So head over to tnm.me/petition, and I will leave that up while I'm answering this question. Cynthia said that she viewed the leaderboard. Okay, so for those of you who do not know, when you become a petition circulator, right, you get access to a special section on the site, and all of our CPCs are listed on a leaderboard with the number of submitted signatures. So as signatures come in, they're processed. And, they're ranked from all the way from 1 to wherever we are on circulators right now. I don't know what the number is, but they're all ranked based on the number of submitted signatures. And we're going to be doing special things for people at various stages on the leaderboard. But Cynthia's question is about the leaderboard. She wanted to know, how long does it take to verify signatures that have been collected once they arrive at TNM headquarters? So a little step through the process. And I talked about this previously on one of the other coffee talks, but essentially they come in, they are initially processed and counted and sorted. And then they are sent from that spot where they're recorded in the system, and that's the count that you see. They go to another part of the process where they are then digitally scanned. Then once they're digitally scanned, the paper copies are stored away safely, right? Because you just never know when someone would want to make some mischief. So the paper copies are stored away safely, and then the verification process begins with those digital copies. So it is a bit of a process, because the verification process is a manual one. There is no electronic way for us to handle that verification, and essentially all we're doing is verifying the verification, right? Because you've already, as a petition circulator, you've already asked the person who signed the petition the question if they're a registered voter. All we're doing is confirming what they said is true. So, and that depends, as far as how long does it take. If they all came in at the same rate, then I could give you an idea of processing time. But they come in bundles and batches, or we may get a handful in one day, and then the next day, we may have to bring home a tote of them. So it's not an easy thing to say, but I will tell you that they process them as quickly as they come in. Okay, and so make sure, go sign the petition, find out where you can sign and where you can become a petition circulator right there, tnm.me/petition. All right, let me move along here. Hello, for all of you saying hello. Someone asked, what will our national anthem be? Texas Our Texas is a great anthem. I refer to it as our national anthem because I believe we're a nation. Okay, so Lace says, when you can you explain more about the membership you mentioned? What does it entail and represent for Texans who decide to join TNM? Look, I would encourage you, rather than going into all of that there, I would encourage you to go over to tnm.me/join. Read up on it. We have different types of memberships in the organization. And, people like me, I've got more than one kind, because memberships typically are just really about helping the organization and about access to various things, right? So different memberships allow you different levels or types of access. So I would just say head over to tnm.me/join. But I will tell you that the thing that is compelling to me personally, and one of the reasons that I've got a membership of every type in the organization, is I want to make sure that I'm on the team. I am part of helping make it happen. I can't say it any other way than that. It's super important, and it really differentiates the well-wishers and the go-getters. Just go say it that way. So go check it out. tnm.me/join. I realize I'm leaning in my chair. It's like I've got the Captain Kirk lean, right? I feel like Shatner on the set of Star Trek with all this leaning. It's crazy. Okay, so let's get back down to it. Hey, Tex, thank you for your super chat, and thank you. It says, do you personally believe in Swiss-style military service or prefer all volunteer? Oh, and then he tacked on the Social Security and Veterans benefit question. Ha ha, that's funny. I do. I think there are pros and cons to both. The Swiss have a compulsory service for, I think it was 18. I don't think it's quite 18 months. I mean, I knew a guy who was a Swiss Grenadier many years ago. And I wish I could tell you that I was more familiar with their system, but honestly, I think there is something compelling about an all-volunteer force. It definitely makes sure that people are there for the right reasons. Dan said he just got a copy of my book. Hope you enjoy it, Dan. Someone said, and I can't tell, they must be in a group, do we have enough time to text it as planned, or do we need a miracle? It feels as though we're running out of time. I've been running out of time for 25 years. It's always a good time to text it. And I'm going to tell you, here's the thing you need to understand is these external events, they have a tendency to compress time frames, right? I'm not in the quitters club where it's like, oh, the sky's falling, so we need to quit working for Texas and dig a hole in my backyard. That's not where I am. That's not where I will ever be. Okay, so, but do we have enough time to text it? I would have preferred this 25 years ago, right? But not everybody was there. But I'm going to tell you, everybody's going to get there. Everybody's going to get there. Whether we convince them or they are convinced by the opposition, everybody's going to get there. And Texas is going to happen. So that's why I wake up every day and thank God Almighty that we're one day closer to Texas. Okay, rolling down through the list. Lace, thank you. Hey, and you said this is your first time watching and you'd like to learn more. I would recommend that you head over to Texitnow.org. That answers all the questions about Texit. You can also go over to tnm.me and check out the About page. Go look at the news. I mean, that site is so chock full of information. Someone suggested Fowler's Texas Forever as the national anthem. It's great. That's a great song, but I don't know that it's anthemic. Oh, hey, and my good friend from school, from the old hometown, Tammy, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. Hated that I did not get to see you guys at White Oaks Tri-Annual Homecoming. That was fun, though. All right. Yona says, campaign idea, small Liberty cards that have some sort of slogan on them and a QR code that directs them to a dedicated page for newcomers. That is great, Yona. Hopefully somebody on the national leadership team is watching and saw that chat. And if not, go drop that. Go to the contact page and drop it in as a suggestion. I'd like to see that too. Joe says he likes the Eyes of Texas as the national anthem, which would make Aggies angry. So, yeah, and I'm kind of with you. I love Texas, Our Texas. I think it's a great one. And Nate does that song well. I need to get that on here. I need to just really just kind of. You guys are going to have to badger Nate Smith to release his album. That's all I can say. All right. You know what? I need a drink of coffee. I mean, this is coffee talk, right? And it's been more talk than coffee, which is ridiculous. Okay, so Lisa says, address Dictator Biden's dictatorial measures to withhold plentiful monoclonal antibodies from Texas and Florida. Can we first off admit that monoclonal antibodies is kind of a tongue twister? It really is. That being said, look, there is almost no excuse for what is coming out of Washington, D.C. that's aimed at us, right? There's no justification. There's no excuse, but it should not come as a surprise, right? I spent the first part of this year traveling around speaking, doing a live broadcast just like this, ragging on Texas legislators that are allegedly Republican and allegedly sane, congratulating Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for being sworn in as president and vice president by saying that if someone had just spent 2 years going around promising to burn down my house, I would not be congratulating them on social media for getting their hands on a can of gas and a pack of matches, right? So this should not come as a surprise. I mean, what more do we need to say? The federal government and the administration right now have Texas in the crosshairs, and they're going to do everything they can to try to destabilize us, to drag us down, to break us, to make us subservient to them, right? So that all we are is just a piggy bank for them. I mean, they're going to do it all. They don't care if we live or die, long as we comply. So the point here is that, you know, addressing that action is almost pointless, because it's no surprise. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yes, it's targeted at us, but no, it's not the first thing that they've done. I mean, it's literally just one more thing in a long line of things that came before it, and a long line of things that are going to come after it that are probably much worse, until Texas reasserts its status as an independent nation. Period. If you don't like this, you don't like the fact that the Biden administration is doing this, then there's one easy solution: Texas independence, self-government, reasserting our status as an independent nation. That's the answer. The faster we do this, the harder we work, the faster we can get it done. The faster we get it done, the sooner we don't have to talk about what Washington, D.C. does ever again. That, honestly, you want to know one of the biggest benefits of Texas is we don't have to care what they do. They can just do them all day long. You know, they want to go, you know, take everybody's guns, and they want to put them in, you know, they want to put people in, you know, forced vaccinate. I mean, whatever they do is not our problem. Except it is, until we get our independence. It's one way to fix it, people. Okay, let's see. Oh man, that was almost like a Justin Wheel, no, or a Bob Wills. That was more like a Bob Wills. Okay. Man, you guys are really on this national anthem thing. This is quite interesting. Yes, I'm just, oh my God, I am so far behind on these comments. Yes, property taxes, abolish property taxes. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys in on on something I've launched on my website, and there's no link to it on the website, but I'm gonna spill it for you. Okay, let me put this here. And I will put this on the screen. Okay, because we shared it on the Facebook page, and that literally is the only place that we've put it so far. If you go to that link right there, okay, so that's my website, danielomiller.com/property taxes. Okay, so if you'll recall the thing that we did with House Bill 1359 with the virtual testimony, I am in the process right now of collecting video testimony from people who have been negatively impacted by rising property taxes, people that have nearly lost their homes, had to take second job. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? So the thing is for this to make an impact, we need real live people talking about real life situations related to the property tax. So if you have been adversely affected by the fact that the legislature has for 12 years lied about property tax relief, then I need to hear from you on that link right there. Right there. Go to that link, leave your video testimony, and we'll talk about what we're gonna do with it. But it's gonna be big, and I will tell you, there's one coming for the border too. And for those of you that live in the border regions or been negatively impacted by federal immigration policy, or the porous border, or the lack of work, or the lack of attention on the part of the state of Texas, you're going to want to watch out for that too. But make sure you go over there and do that. And, check out the website. It's been a lot of upgrades. Someone says that they have never seen me PO'd. Wow. We obviously have not met before. I used to get in trouble. I had a radio show every Saturday on a local radio station, and I used to get in trouble because it was a bit ranty, and I had a woman call in who accused me of being crazy, and just to torment her, I changed all my bumper music to crazy music, like Gnarls Barkley Crazy and Waylon Jennings I've Always Been Crazy, and it drove her nuts. But I do get a bit ranty because, look, I'm passionate about this. How can you not be wound up about this? I mean, it's beyond infuriating. It's gotten to the part where they treat us like we're so stupid. It's insulting. But hopefully you're enjoying this. Jonathan says, "Why don't you run for governor? If you would make social issues an equal priority with Texit, I would join your organization. But if you continue your candidacy as lieutenant governor, I'm already voting for Todd Bullis." Well, I haven't announced that I'm running for anything yet. I just announced that I'm going to make an announcement about something. So you have no idea what I'm running for. And when you talk about making social issues an equal priority with Texit, go look at our mission statement, right? Go read what our mission statement is. It's literally on the about page at the very top. And, ask yourself that question of somebody like the NRA, right? Go to the NRA and go, "Hey guys, if you would make social issues the same priority as guns, then I'd join." They'd be like, "Dude, keep your $25. Now, this is an organization, the TNM is an organization for people who believe in the political, cultural, and economic independence of the nation of Texas, and who want to preserve and protect, or secure and protect, a constitutional republic and the inherent rights of the people of Texas. That is our mission. And if you can't find that you agree with that, then no harm, no foul. We'll part as friends, right? But our organization is what it is. It's literally written right on the tin. We're the Texas Nationalist Movement. So, Jonathan, I at least appreciate you being upfront, right? Okay. Stacy says, "Please help Salyer in District 118 get elected. He supports Texit and signed the petition." Stacy, any candidate that is already declared and running, I would say this, and this goes for any of you. If you're declared and you're running, you need to reach out to us. Go to tnm.me/run for office. That is the home of the Take Texas Back campaign for now. That's your first entry into it. But even for those people who are not running, right? Remember the promise. Challengers for everyone who didn't get on board with HB 1359. So we are looking for people to run for office from top to bottom right now, from tip to tail. So go to tnm.me/run for office. And I would suggest, sending Adam over there as well. Okay. Man, this is tough. Hey, Susan, I got to get moving, folks. There's a lot of chat that I'm missing. Hey, Susan, thank you very much for your super chat. I really, really do appreciate it. Man, we're out here working hard, and that helps. And guys, Susan, if this is the Susan that I think it is, perhaps it is. This is one of our new district directors. Go check out the article on tnm.me/news. Okay, look, I'm seeing comments about Donna Campbell. I know I'm way behind, so I gotta skirt through this, folks. I'm so sorry. Yes. Scrolling through. Sorry, guys. And thank you to Kara, who just came in here and topped me off, because I think she knows that this is going to go long. Okay, so I'm not sure who okay, this is Jonathan again. He says he's waiting on are you going to wait on the leaders in Austin to approve your little resolution for another generation, or is TNM going to do something? I always take exception to people that are frankly doing nothing for Texas independence, telling us that we should do something. Why don't you come walk a mile in the moccasins of any of our volunteers, and then, or come, I tell you what, How about I invite you to the next meeting of all of our field volunteers and our local coordinators and our district directors and the rest of the national leadership team, and I'll let you tell them to their face that you think they're doing nothing, right? I guarantee if we're going to measure up what you have done for Texas independence versus what they do probably in the last hour, you would be weighed in the balance and found wanting. So yeah, same guy who said he wasn't going to vote for me. So this is going to show you the kind of different politician I am. I don't care if you vote for me or not. Anyone who would sit there and peanut gallery hardworking volunteers and tell them to do something as though they're doing nothing, don't vote for me. If whatever I run for, if I run, don't ever vote for me. Okay. Yep. TJ Fabby. Hey, TJ, man, you need to run again. TJ says, why on earth would we want to be united with the likes of California, New York, Illinois, or Michigan? Texit or turn into Australia. Buddy, you ain't just whistling Dixie. This is true. This is true. I mean, you have to ask yourself that question. Literally, I wish I could pull that clip. If you go to the YouTube channel, you will see the clip where I was on the show on Real America News, whatever it was, and I asked the question, if your state was independent right now, would you vote to join? And I mean, the answer was no, right? I mean, he didn't come out and say no, but he's shaking his head no. I mean, I'm guessing that he probably couldn't do it as the host of the show. But that question has power, right? When you think about it in those terms. If Texas was free, independent, self-governing right now, would you vote to join the union? And if you wouldn't vote to join, then why in the world would you ever vote to stay? That is the most powerful argument for Texas that there is. Because who cares, right? Okay, so rolling down through the list. Man, you guys are burying me tonight. I'm trying, guys. I really got to get a moderator. Oh, let's see here. Hector says he's talking about Hector. Okay, this is a good one. Okay, Hector says this, and I'm going to take some time to talk about this. He says this is strange because this problem involves specific countries, and these governments are doing nothing to control the evident invasion. Right, so he's talking about the border. He says Mexican government is treating Nuevo Leon and Coahuila the same way the U.S. government is treating Texas. They want to create chaos in our region. What is the profit on it? Do they want to bend our pride and impose their liberal laws? So Hector and everyone else listening, I'm going to tell you this echoes the sentiment that I have heard for many, many years. Okay. So there have been for many years rumblings in the northern states of Mexico, talking about, kind of in those proto stages of talking about independence, right? Groups of citizens. And what we have heard time and time again from those people that have reached out to us and contacted us is that Mexico City treats the northern states of Mexico the way the United States treats Texas, like a cash cow. If they can keep it chaotic and destabilized, then there can be no significant opposition mounted to the shift or the power base in Mexico City. And so it's one of the reasons that allegedly the Mexican government allows the cartels to effectively run wild in the northern Mexican states without any significant repercussions. And so what you do is you have the cartels that have effective control of the outlying areas of the major, the major population centers in the northern Mexican states. And all Mexico City wants is that tax revenue from the manufacturing facilities all along the border. So, the solution, and I've said this, I can't tell you how long. There are times when you hear these arguments come from these independence movements or kind of like the proto-independence movements in the northern Mexican states, where their grievances and their arguments sound exactly like ours. I had an independence advocate from Coahuila tell me point blank, he said, understand that it's not the people in the northern Mexican states that are illegally crossing. He says they are coming in from Central America and points all over the world. And, you're talking about things they tear up when they get into Texas. Understand, they're tearing things up on our side too, on their way to go tear up your things. So it's an interesting situation that we find ourselves in. And it's definitely something that I think as an organization we need to explore more, is to see what that independent sentiment is in those northern Mexican states, and do everything we can to help promote and foster it. Because frankly, like Sheriff Roy Boyd said in that video that I played last week, or in his speech after that video, at the border awareness rally, he said, "Don't let anyone fool you." He says the border is fully under control by the cartels on the other side. So if we want to secure the border, then securing it on the other side is it. And if the politicians in Mexico City will not play ball on that side, then perhaps some independent, self-governing nation states that used to be the northern states of Mexico will be more amenable to protecting that border. Okay. Somebody said I should have petition info up. I had it up. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of comments. Hey, Michael, thank you so much for your super chat. Michael says, what is the chance of recalling this governor? Zero, because Texas does not have recall provisions in its constitution or in statute. So that is the chance. And I know that's probably not the answer that you wanted, but what that means is that the election cycles are that much more important. We don't get do-overs. Hey, someone said this is one of the most important movements in the world. Thanks. Man, you guys are, hey, I see some people spreading doing some peacocking in the chat with their number of petition signatures. Someone put that up there. Okay. Okay, so Hector is again in the chat. Hector, please reach out to us on our website. It appears that you are a representative of one of those independence movements that I was just talking about. So I would encourage you to reach out to us on our website at tnm.me. Contact us. We'll get you in touch with our international engagement folks, and we'll get that dialogue opened up. Look at that. You guys literally just witnessed diplomacy live. This is how it's done. Hey, Sandy said that this is her first time here. You love it. Sandy, we love you. Thank you for being here. Okay. And Sherry, thank you. Also, it's your first time watching. Do appreciate it. Michael says he's going to be retiring in 2 months. Plans on helping the Texit movement. Bring it on. Retire out. Tap out, tag team, whatever you want to call it, the more the merrier. Let's get over here and win this thing. Okay, scrolling down through. See, I said the bulk of tonight was going to be answering questions, and I'm literally, that has been it. I got all ranty about the smoke and mirrors coming out of Austin, and and then it's been nothing. So, and look, you guys are still in the chat talking about national anthem options. I love this. Oh my God. Okay, scrolling, folks. Very sorry. Victor, legit question. Okay. Victor asks, when Texit takes place, what safeguards should be implemented to prevent a carbon copy of the corrupt Republican/Democrat political party startup and ruin the state? So I'm guessing, and maybe I don't understand entirely the question, but there is sort of a question that may be adjacent or overlap it a bit. It's one we get quite a bit, which is, look, if we've got these ridiculous people in Austin, what is what is to say that we don't wind up with that same kind of problem post Texit? And I think it's a legitimate question. It's one of the reasons that, one key component of the T&M of our work is that watchdog function, right? To ensure that the Constitution of Texas is upheld, that government officials at every level are held accountable. None of this dual class system where the elected class gets special privileges, and we have to eat crumbs off the master's table. Okay, so I wrote a piece about this very thing that got turned into a video, it is a term that I refer to as electile dysfunction, right? Where because of the election system, there's a rampant dysfunction, and so I'm going to put it to you about as simply as I can, because I'm not going to just regurgitate the entire article, but I would encourage you to go look on our YouTube channel and find that video and watch it. But essentially, this is what it boils down to. So much of the reason that our state elected officials and even our county and local officials are allowed to get away with what they get away with, it's related to the fact that the federal government sucks all the oxygen out of the room, right? And I illustrate this a lot of times when this question comes up in a Q&A during a speech. When I'm giving remarks somewhere, someone will ask it, and I'll go, do this exercise. Go out and find 100 people in your town and ask them all just this question: who is the Speaker of the House? Ask it just like that. Who is the Speaker of the House? If they can answer it, almost every one of them would say Nancy Pelosi. And almost none of them would say Dade Phelan. That's because so much focus is on Washington, D.C. And not that that's a wrong thing. We should be focused on, or we should at least be aware of what they are doing to us, but we can't be focused on solving the problem there, because as Texans, we don't have the power to solve or fix the federal government. We're still 1 out of 50 states, so we don't have the power. Literally, we could do everything in Texas 100% right and still get screwed over by Washington, D.C., because that's the way the system is, okay? That's why Texas is important. But that being said, imagine post-Texit, suddenly the federal government is no longer in the equation. What does that mean? Well, number one is that means that we're not consumed with 24-hour news, or we're not digesting 24-hour news cycles that are completely consumed with what's happening in Washington, D.C., right? Because that doesn't matter to us anymore. So now citizens of Texas no longer fixated on Washington, D.C. What government are they fixated on? Well, suddenly it's about what's happening in Austin and in your county seat and in your municipality, right? Those become the focus, because those are that's the government that is absolutely closest to you and devoid of the distraction. Now the attention's there. One of the reasons establishment politicians are not big fans of Texit, because they understand that Texit means that the spotlight is now on them, right? There's no more hiding in the shadow of Uncle Sam's big brimmed hat. They're in the sunlight. And man, that's what they don't want, because sunlight is the best disinfectant. Okay. So that's one component of it. Now, another component is this. So much of policy here in Texas, so much of policy is driven by elected officials whose aspirations are beyond the borders of Texas. Their political ambitions carry their eyes, their gaze eastward toward Mordor on the Potomac, toward Washington District of Criminals, where they get all, weepy-eyed thinking about being a congressman or a senator, or in the case of governors here, president, right? So everything they do is not to serve the people of Texas. It's with that thought in the back of their head that sometime they may have to play to an audience that is not Texas. And so what happens? Well, we get bad government, And then, we start talking about all the strings attached, so much of policy is driven in the 86th legislature. Almost half of the bills filed reference the federal government. So when all of that goes away, you're going to start seeing the electile dysfunction take care of itself. And that's a pretty attractive thing. Okay, scrolling down through. Thank you guys. I will get caught up. Man. Yep, federal government is beyond repair. Let me just scroll down through here because I'm literally 7 minutes over, guys, and I am so sorry. There is just a lot going on. I can only get to a few of these, but thank you all for the wonderful comments. And if I could be here with you for 3 hours, I would straight do it. I'm just, I love spending this time with you guys. That's why I'm glad that I decided to do it. We've been at this for several weeks now. Man, scrolling. Someone asked if I got sent a band hammer, and no, I did not get a band hammer, but I still have the band finger, and as long as people are minding their P's and Q's inside this chat, then they can stay. Okay. Yes, Lace says I could see why coffee is recommended during this. Am I bored? Am I boring you? I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be boring. I'm just answering people's questions. Hey Donna, thank you so much for your super chat. She says Texas is happening. I'm on a cruise tomorrow and already have a meetup on board for Texans who want to sign the petition. Look at that. Getting petition signatures at sea. It's amazing. Okay, boom. Let's go down through here. Scroll down, almost there, guys. I'm skimming, so bear with me. Somebody wants to know what sort of coffee I'm having. Honestly, I do not know. I just don't know. The pot was made when I went in there to fill the cup. All right. So here's the thing. I'm going to tell you guys right now, these mugs, because someone asked, these mugs are available on the TNM website. If you go to the TNM, to the Texian store, the TNM store on the website, you will find these Texit Now mugs. So there you go. There is your answer. Yeah. And thank you to those of you that are going over and signing up and joining. And yeah. Okay. So got a message. Okay. This is from Kyle. He said Representative Patty finally got the message. For those of you who have not heard, there will be an article about it on the website tomorrow, but ding dong, the witch is dead. You guys remember that chairman of the State Affairs Committee, Chris Patty, the one who prevented you from testifying on Biederman's House Bill 1359? Well, Chris Patty has announced that he is not running for re-election. Wah, wah, wah. The guy that was inundated with phone calls, visits to his office, both in the Capitol and in the district, and where our district director, Ryan McCubbin, went and held a petition signing at his district office. The guy that was absolutely bombarded, the guy who was just last week censured by one of the Republican executive committees in one of the counties that he serves, announced today that he is not running for re-election. So if you were in that House district, well, who knows what the maps are going to show. But if you're in that neck of the woods, you might want to consider throwing your hat in the ring. So yeah, good news. And Kyle, thanks for popping in, man. Got to have you on here one night. Jacob says, how do Haitians easily get to the Texas southern border? Well, since the vast majority of them came from Chile, and I can understand the confusion, when people on Facebook can't tell the Chilean flag from the Texas flag, I can understand why they thought that this might be Chile. So, but that's the answer. Okay. Rolling down through, guys. I am going to have to wrap it up. I have got a ton of work to do, and while I would love to be here, and I'm scrolling down through, making sure that I didn't miss anything, and especially those super chats, guys. Thank y'all so much for the super chats. And hey, thank you, Joe, for saying I'm a true patriot. Man, I'm just a Texan. I'm just a Texan, and just want to see my home free and independent. It's what I want. It's what I've wanted since August 24th, 1996. I have just wanted to see Texas free and independent. And we're closer than we have ever been. I am ecstatic, and I'm a bit apprehensive about certain aspects of what I'm being asked to do to advance the cause, but I love Texas too much. I love Texas too much to not do what is necessary to win. And, and I love all of y'all. Every one of you that has come on board and worked with us to help push this thing forward. It was there were many years where it was one of the toughest things you could imagine. But here we are. Kara is always fond of saying that too often people stop just short of greatness, and I'm not saying that that I'm not applying that to me. I'm applying that really to Texas independence, and I'm just thankful so many of you are on board because what we're doing is great. We're writing history right now. We are literally writing history. They're going to be children in future generations that are going to read about what we are doing here right now. Not about what I'm doing, but it's about what we're doing, right? They're going to read about Texas. I don't care about being a dusty footnote anywhere. Where my place is in history will judge. But what I care about is how future generations perceive and experience Texas. My kids and their kids and their kids and future generations. I want Texas to be free and independent. I want children that know what liberty is, right? That don't have to worry about government coercion. I want to see us win. As I have said many times before, guys like me, many of you, we're closer to our last sandwich than our first. We will not get to experience the fullness of Texas independence like these future generations, like some of the young people on the stream tonight. The youth of Texas and generations yet born. They're going to be the true inheritors of the legacy that we leave, just like we were the inheritors of the legacy left by people like Houston and Travis and Crockett and Bowie and Dickinson and all of those people that fought and in some instances died to make Texas a republic the first time around. We were inheritors of that legacy. It is up to us to honor that legacy and to create a new legacy for the generations that come after us. So what sort of future are we going to write? Because if we don't write the future, it'll be written for us. Well, that being said, folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up, take my coffee, and get back to work because Texas independence, it's like Ben Franklin said, you cannot be expected to be transported from tyranny to liberty on a feather bed. So the work never stops. You got to keep grinding for Texas independence. And I just am thankful to every one of you for being on this journey with us. And thank you for carrying your share of the burden. It is not an army of one. It is an army of many. It's a new Texian army. And we're going to march to our modern day San Jacinto. So I'll leave you with the words of Sam Houston when he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. That time is now, and the question is, will you stand with her? Good night, everyone.